Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So it's been quite a while since I posted a video. It's been a slow time of year for us, so thought I'd make a video for you guys and do an equipment tour. But there's a couple things I wanted to mention before we get started. And the first thing is mostly just to remind you guys, none of this is my stuff or my family's stuff. And the second thing is this is not the dairy farm that I've been working on lately. This is the main farm that I've been working on. I call it the main farm and the second farm, two different places, but the same person that I work for. So I don't want you guys to get confused with the dairy. That is a completely different person, different machinery. One more thing too before we get started here. I don't know everything about this equipment that we have here. So I'm going to do my best to tell you everything I do know about the machinery. But there's going to be a lot I don't know. So bear with me in this video, but otherwise, enjoy the video. So up first, we have the Cat. It is a Caterpillar Challenger 45, so it's rated at 245 horsepower. I believe the year is 1998, but it could be 99. You can see inside the cab here, it's got 4 hydraulics. Next, we have the John Deere 3150. I believe the year is 1986 or something like that. It should have about 108 horsepower. You can see it's got the cab there, so it is insulated a little bit, and it has heat and air conditioning. It does have a radio, but the radio doesn't work the best. 2 hydraulics, 8 gears. Then next we have my favorite tractor, the John Deere 4030. I believe it is rated at about 82 horsepower, something like that. You can see it doesn't have a full cab, but we do actually have windows for it. But of course, no AC or heat. Again, 8 gears. Otherwise, nothing super fancy. Next up is the John Deere 2510. I believe it is 1960 something. I'm not too sure. And I also don't know the horsepower on this one. It does have an 8-speed transmission, pretty much just like the 4030s. Next we have the John Deere 1020. It's actually in the shop getting fixed right now, so I don't have it to show you guys in person, but it is a handy tractor to have around. Next we have the John Deere 60. It does have the front loader on it with a trip bucket instead of a regular hydraulic bucket. I don't know much about this, and I've never actually driven this, so I can't tell you much about it. It is a hand clutch, and of course it's got the narrow front. Next we have our combine. It is a John Deere 9400. There's not a ton I know about this, with specs at least. I do know it is about a 250 bushel grain tank. We use this for corn and soybeans. I'll be showing you the headers in a second. Next we have the bean header. It is a John Deere 918, so I believe that means it is 18 feet wide. Next, we have our 6-row corn header. It is a 643, I believe, and that little thing you saw on the ground there is actually how we pick it up. We usually use the 3150 for that. Here you can see is our grain cart. It is a Kilbros 1400, a 750 bushel hopper tank, and we hook this to the cat. That's the only tractor we have that can pull it. I believe it is a 2009 model, and we did just buy this a couple years ago. Next, we have our speed tiller. It is a Lemken Rubin 10. I believe it is a 13-foot, and that's the smallest they make. The cat is what pulls it, but the cat is a little underpowered for what this needs, but it gets the job done, and it does a really nice job. Next is our Kinsey planter. It is a 6-row double frame, so it has 11 row units total. 6 row units for corn, and then you use the front rows for 15-inch row spacings for soybeans. Those rear boxes in the back are for insecticide, and those center boxes with that auger over it, we actually installed ourselves to put dry fertilizer on at the same time. Next is our sprayer. You can see there it's a Demco 850. I don't know much about this because I've never run it before. I do know it's a 60-foot boom, and I'm assuming it's an 850-gallon tank. You'll see here in a second, I'll show the sight glass. See there, we just put a new pump on. It's PTO-driven pump. There's that sight glass. Next is our stock chopper. You can see there it's a Brillian. We hook this to the 3150, usually in the fall, as long as everything goes to plan. I believe it's 12 feet or something like that. I can take 4 rows of corn stalks pretty good. 5 is a bit pushing it, but it does a really nice job of chopping up the stalks. Next is this. I believe it's called a subsoiler. I've never used this before, and I've never seen it be used before, but it goes about 2 feet deep. Just rip up the compaction layer, but we do have to hook this to the cat because it takes a lot of power to pull. So I can't show you much about it or tell you much about it, just because I don't know much about it. Next we have our hay bine. It is a John Deere 1219. We hook this to the 4030. I don't know how wide it is. It is a hay bine rather than a disc bine, which is a little different. So you can see there it's got the sickles. There are the little rollers to crimp the stalks of the hay so it dries out faster. Next we have our hay rake. You can see there it's a John Deere 660. Don't know exactly how wide this would be, but you can see there it's ground driven. Next we have our baler. It is a John Deere 336, as you can see there. We hook this to the 4030 to bale up small square bales for hay. See there the two knotters. It is a pan kicker, so you can see that pan down there, and you'll see it work there. Just throws the bales up into the wagons. And you can see here we have two wagons. Next we have our gravity wagons. We do have 5 gravity wagons, and I believe they're 250 bushels each. But it's worth mentioning this wagon right here, we actually also use for our fertilizer, starter fertilizer for planting time. You can see here we put an auger on it. It's a bit tore apart because we're changing the flighting in there. But here you can see it attached to the wagon. We just pull up the planter next to it and load up those bins with dry fertilizer. And then, of course, during harvest time, we have the auger to carry the grain from the wagons into the semi. See there, it's driven off a PTO. Usually we use the 1020, sometimes the 2510 if can't use the 1020. Next we have the bush hog. Of course, it's PTO driven. We usually use this on the 1020, but again, when the 1020 isn't available, we use the 2510. Next is our grader. We usually hook this to the 1020 or 2510. I don't know much about it though. But next we have the one thing that I do actually own, or I should say my family owns, is a 2014 Polaris Sportsman 570. It's got 4-wheel drive and power steering, and we do have a winch for it, and we have a plow. Next we have our lawnmower. It is a John Deere Z540M. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a 62-inch deck there. I believe it is a 2019 model, and we got it in 2020, so it's pretty new. Next we have the wood splitter here. This actually isn't any of ours. It's one of the friends of a farmer's that I work for, so I can't tell you a whole lot about it, but it does a nice job splitting the wood. So that is all the equipment that we have. This video is actually pretty fun to make for me. Kind of tested me on stuff that I do know about our equipment and what I don't know. And it kind of surprised me how much I don't actually know about our equipment. But yeah, anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.